All right, so in this lesson, I'm going to teach you how to sketch the product of two functions. So the word product means we're going to start multiplying two functions together. We have two graphs here, y is equal to f of x and y is equal to g of x, and we want to sketch the product of these two functions. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is you want to pick some x values. But before you do that, you need to take a look at the domains of each function. Y is equal to f of x. Looks like a linear function and there's no breaks, okay? So that means all the x values are defined for that graph. But it's not the same case for this graph right here. Notice it starts at -2 and it increases towards positive infinity. So my domain is actually restricted here. X is equal, or x is greater than or equal to -2. So when you're picking your x values, you have to make sure the x values fit each function. So we're starting with -2, and we're going to pick numbers that are greater than -2. Okay, so we have -2, -1. I'll pick another point here. I'm trying to pick some points I can see here at 2, and I'll pick another point at 4. Okay, so completely random sometimes, but just make sure it fits this domain. Okay, so we are going to now read some points off the given graph. Okay, so we're going to look at the first graph, y is equal to f of x. Now at -2, you want to read the corresponding y value on this graph, and it looks like the corresponding y value for f of x is going to be 8. At -1, we have a corresponding y value of +6. So keep going here. At +2, we have a corresponding value of, well, it looks like it's the x-intercept, so my y value is going to be 0. Okay, and then finally at 4, my corresponding y value is going to be -4. Okay, so now we're going to read some points off the graph of g of x. Okay, so I'm going to erase this here. And g of x is that red curve, looks like a radical function. At -2, it looks like my y value is going to be 0. At -1, looks like my y value is going to be about +1. At 2, my y value is going to be +2. Okay, and at 4, my corresponding y value, I have to do a little bit of approximation here. It looks like it's going to be about 2.5. Okay, so as best as you can, just approximate where necessary. Okay, so now we're going to fill in the tables for your h of x function. And remember, h of x is obtained by multiplying your f of x by your g of x. Okay, so we're going to multiply all the y values for f of x by your y values from g of x. Okay, so 8 times 0 is going to give you 0. 6 times 1 is going to give you 6. 0 times 2 is going to give you 0. And finally, -4 times, -4 times 2.5 here is going to be 10. -10 actually. Okay, so -10. Now we're going to graph these points. So I'll erase this here. The first point we're going to graph is -2, 0. So right there, okay? Next point is -1, 6. So right about here. So keep going here. 2, 0 is the next point. So right there. And finally, another point of 4, -10. Okay, and that is, just reading my curve here, right there. Okay, so your graph is going to look a little funny. It's going to look something like this. So join your curves, smooth curve as possible, and there's your curve. Okay, so simple process, and that's it. That's how you sketch the graph of the product of two functions.